Breaking news today, Rabbi addresses anti-Semitism during Springfield menorah lighting, highlighting that this is about more than just Israel's war. In his remarks delivered just before Thursday's menorah lighting in Court Square to commemorate Hanukkah, Rabbi Noach Kosofsky condemned the growing anti-Semitism in the nation and around the world as a result of the conflict between Israel and Hamas. This is not just a war between Jewish people, this is a war for all good people everywhere who believe in human dignity and the rule of law, he declared. A triumph over Hamas signifies triumph for liberty and triumph. The rabbi, who is also the director of Longmeadow's Lubavitcher Yeshiva Academy, gave the speech on December 7, precisely 2 months after the surprise attack on Israel by Hamas, which killed over 1,000 innocent Israeli civilians. For all people who value decency, ethics, and morality, he said, October 7th is a watershed moment in history. On top of that, 190 of the 312 anti-Semitic incidents that happened between October 7th and October 23rd were associated with the American war effort, according to the Anti-Defamation League. Rabbi Chaim A. Kosofsky, Noach's brother and a LYA community outreach coordinator, announced that this year's Hanukkah celebrations will be held in memory of the Israelis held captive in Gaza. While speaking, Democratic Springfield State Representative Carlos Gonzalez offered a helping hand. The head of the Joint Committee on Homeland Security and Public Safety urged everyone to reject bigotry in all its manifestations. He emphasized that everyone's safety in Massachusetts is paramount. The yearly menorah lighting had to be rescheduled from Court Square Park to a location near the city's historic First Church and Veterans Monuments along Veterans Way this year due to ongoing construction. At the 50th lighting ceremony, 9 or 10 police officers, including Superintendent Cheryl A. Clapwood, observed the proceedings very closely. Israel has set aside a tiny, mostly uninhabited area along the Mediterranean coast of Gaza as a safe zone, where families escaping the conflict can receive humanitarian aid and avoid further airstrikes. The truth? There are thousands of confused Palestinians living in a makeshift tent camp in the Mawasi area, on abandoned farms and muddy dirt roads. As more and more people in the southern Gaza Strip have fled from an Israeli military offensive, their numbers have increased in the past few days. Israel and international humanitarian organizations are engaged in a contentious debate over the safety of the civilians in Mawasi, a territory spanning approximately 20 square kilometers, 8 square miles, in southwest Gaza. The Israeli government has proposed Mawasi as a way for displaced people to find refuge from the fierce fighting between Israeli forces and Hamas militants. According to the UN and relief organizations, Mawasi is an ill-thought-out effort to force a solution on displaced people, and it does not provide any assurance of safety in a region where residents have already been subjected to ongoing airstrikes in other locations where the army had previously ordered them to flee. If one side of the conflict decides on a safe zone in a war zone unilaterally, how can that zone be safe? The United Nations Relief and Works Agency, UNRWA, Commissioner General, Philippe Lazzarini, stated. All it can do is give people the illusion that everything will be okay. Tents offer little shelter from the upcoming cold, rainy weather of winter, there is no running water or restrooms in the area, and aid and international humanitarian organizations are non-existent. Along with around 30 other family members, Moner Nabriz fled Gaza City due to the very cold weather and lack of basic necessities. Along with his displaced relatives, he has only just reached Mawasi and is currently residing in a nylon tent. Even to get drinking water, there are lines for everything, he said. Some people don't even have the basics to put up a tent. The mother of 4 from Gaza City, Sada Hadhad, described the weather as at night we were freezing as she faced yet another night without any shelter. Nylon was what we were using to cover ourselves. No international relief organization, including UNRWA, recognizes the camp, and as a result, they are withholding their services from the camp. But Israel's friends have pleaded with Israel to protect Gaza's civilians from Hamas, and Mawasi is ready to play a pivotal role in this effort, since Israel began its war in response to Hamas' cross-border attack on October 7, which killed around 1,200 people. Nearly 3/4 of the 2.3 million people living in the territory have been displaced, with some displaced more than once. The Gaza Health Ministry, which does not distinguish between civilian and combatant deaths, reports that over 17,000 people have perished in the conflict. Following the entry of Israeli ground forces into the region, hundreds of thousands of Gazans fled to the south from the north. Tens of thousands of people have been forced to flee once again, this time with limited options for safe havens, as Israel expands its ground offensive towards the south. Mawasi was initially brought up by Israel as a humanitarian zone towards the end of October. While Israel holds the UN responsible for the unfavorable conditions, the exact number of people it believes can live there remains unclear. Israel has been permitting the entry of temporary shelters and winter gear, according to Colonel Elad Goren, a senior official in the military body responsible for Palestinian civilian affairs.